the past few years, Nissan Sentra's only real attribute was affordability. Let's get something straight right out of the gate. The new 2020 model is a massive improvement. The new sheet metal is draped over a new structure that gets a new rear independent suspension. It's motivated by a new, more powerful four-cylinder. Lots of standard safety tech, too. So much new. Which means the cost of entry skyrocketed, right? Not really.
Nissan is clearly doing the bang for the buck thing with the new Sentra. The base S model retails for $20,015, and that does include destination and great tech like automatic emergency braking and push-button start. It should appeal to somebody looking for a brand new car with a warranty. However, I would highly suggest moving up to the SV model that adds things like alloy wheels and Apple CarPlay. It's not much more. $20,270.
And I'll point out that the S stops with drum brakes in the rear, while the SV does it with discs and adds adaptive cruise control. Really, people, at the very least, buy the SV if you choose a Sentra. I'm driving a fully optioned SR model that stickers at $25,170 with the two-tone roof treatment and premium package. That's as spendy as it gets, folks, and it includes some sun and the kind of camera system found in luxury cars. Sentras get cloth seats. The premium package adds leatherette, in other words, not from a cow. In addition to standard automatic emergency braking and lane departure warning, there's cross-traffic alert with auto braking. Notice I demoed it with something soft? Yeah, I've learned the hard way. No pun intended. Limiting choice is one way Nissan keeps Generation 8's costs down. That means one powertrain. Replacing the outgoing 1.8-liter four-cylinder is a 2-liter four-banger. Horsepower is up by 20% at 149. And torque is increased by 17% to 146 pound-feet. This being a Nissan, the transmission is of the continuously variable kind. Love the sure mechanical feel of the selector, but I kept shifting to low by mistake nearly every time I started a trip. Some CVTs have a simulated manual shift mode. Sentra does not, of any kind, and the only drive mode is an eco setting. Nothing like sport, but to be honest, I didn't miss it.
Sentra's little brother, the new Versa, offers up a much better driving experience than it did before. Same goes here, starting with the engine.
The additional 25 horsepower has an extra 100 pounds or so to carry around now. This car is approaching 3,100 lbs's, but the power bump is still a win. 0 to 60 is in the 8.5-second range.
Sentra's acceleration is just fine. Versa's is pretty darn pokey, so if you're shopping these two budget Nissans, keep that in mind.
Tossed into a corner, the body stays fairly flat. That new independent rear suspension is a big improvement. The front is McPherson strut, by the way. This Nissan holds a line well. Part of it is due to brake torque vectoring.
There's also something called active ride control, which uses the brakes in a very subtle way to keep body dive and pitch down. One of the benefits is it helps passengers from becoming car sick. That's always good.
You won't feel the braking when the wheels pass over a bump, but it does calm the motions.
Sentra's driving dynamics are pretty good. There's some road feel coming up through the wheel. The weight is on the hefty side. It's pretty comfortable. It may not be as frisky as, say, a Mazda 3 or Honda Civic, but it's no slouch.
Really, most people will find this a well-composed car that soaks up bumps well enough. In addition to the safety tech I've already mentioned, SV and SR models get blind spot warning and automatic high-beam headlamps, and the SRs are LED. ProPilot Assist, Nissan's semi-autonomous driving system, is not available on Sentra.
I wouldn't classify this as an overly quiet car. On the highway, you'll hear some wind and tire noise, and under hard acceleration, you'll definitely hear the engine. I'd say it's on the moderate side, but remember the price. That's on the low side.
I've driven luxury cars with $25,000 worth of options, and here that buys the whole car.
A couple things about the transmission. This is the latest version of Nissan's continuously variable unit. The company claims that it's much more reliable than in the past. It is a CVT, and those are prone to that rubbery, elasticy kind of dynamic. This one is not too bad. Under normal driving, you wouldn't really be able to tell. Put your foot into it though, and there is a bit of that droning dynamic.
Fuel economy is good. S and SV grades are EPA rated at an average of 33 miles per gallon. The SR's average drops to 32 mpg. And during a 45-mile highway run, I saw this as an average, driving in a normal way. While exterior styling draws many people to a car, it's the interior that owners stare at day in and day out. This one is pleasing to the eye, and things like door releases feel good to the touch. Armrests are padded too. All in all, the vibe is like a smaller Maxima. I actually prefer this space to Ultima. The driver's chair is powered, the front passenger's is not. The comfy zero-gravity seats are heated. At this price point, you wouldn't expect a toasty wheel, but it is. There's dual-zone climate control too, and the Bose sound system that's part of the premium package is a solid performer. The 7-inch touchscreen user interface is improved, but still basic. Touch response is fine, not super snappy. Remember, to get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, step up to the SV model.
A reminder of why I do this. I'm 5'9". I put this seat in a good driving position to find out how roomy the back seat is.
I might be the evil twin, but I'm not the dumb one.
It's for them.
Whatever. Sentra might be an inexpensive car, but the back seat is just fine. Headroom is good, so is knee and foot room, and the cushions are high enough so that there's actual thigh support here. And I do believe Mom likes me better, huh?
Door pockets, yes, and they're usable. There's a way for me to charge up my phone, too. How civilized. Wish there was a storage pocket on this side, though. That's a budget item. There's trim on the door panels, but the seats don't get the same embellishment as the front. Door openings are moderate. Bring car seats on test drives to size those up. The spine isn't too large, so it's possible to get 3 smaller adults in here, but 2 of them and their coffee will be much more comfortable.
Some TP trunk test trivia. The record for a sedan is 8 bundles, which are about the size of a carry-on suitcase. It was the Ford Taurus, by the way. May it rest in peace.
A spare tire? Many luxury cars don't have those. This is where you're going to be dropping the 60-40 split seat backs. There are no remote releases for those if that's a deal breaker for you. Sentra's trunk opening isn't as large as a hatchback or crossover, so I'm not buying that 65-inch TV I saw on the way out with this stuff. I guess that's another way to save money. But 6 packs of the 2-ply? That's a pretty good score in a sedan this size.
Sedans do tend to be a little bit better when it comes to security because a lot of SUV and crossover owners don't use the security shade and thieves can look in and see valuables. Tip of the day, if you're going to stow an iPad or a laptop in the trunk, turn it completely off because in sleep mode, they're still sending out Bluetooth and Wi-Fi signals. Thieves detect that.
As far as exterior design goes, Sentra is pleasant looking enough so that it won't be dismissed outright when considering Honda Civic, Hyundai Elantra, Kia Forte, Mazda 3, Toyota Corolla, and Volkswagen Jetta. Some reviewers say styling is subjective, which I think is a lazy way of saying some people have bad taste. But in this case, I think it really is a personal choice. Price-wise, Sentra does a good job of undercutting most of these, sometimes by thousands of dollars, but it also depends on your negotiation skills at the dealership. The biggest challenge Nissan has in selling this car is the reputation of the outgoing model. Sentra is now a solid choice, and being a new car, it comes with a warranty for people who don't want to worry about the possibility of expensive repairs on a used car. It looks good, drives well, has loads of safety tech that a 3-year-old vehicle probably lacks, and it doesn't break the bank. Affordability is no longer Sentra's only attribute, and that's good because buying something on price alone is never a good deal. One thing I told myself to shoot a dozen times, and forgot to shoot a dozen times, is remote start. This car has remote start, something that folks in International Falls, Minnesota will appreciate in February. And a buying tip, you can save some $600 by not getting this black roof. I've seen Sentra in other shades other than the Monarch Orange, and it still looks good, though this paint does pop. Personally, I'd take this car over the Ultima when it comes to design, and size too. I prefer driving smaller cars when it comes to my own vehicles.
That about covers the new Nissan Sentra. Now, of course, a used vehicle is a good way to stay on budget. I've done it. Depreciation, That's the thing on new cars. But I do know people that have no business buying a used vehicle. They'd get themselves into trouble. They don't even know to bring the car in for an inspection. So for them, a new car might be a good thing. Different strokes for different folks. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.